I want to talk about this play in terms of kind of what to maybe see in the playoffs, what we're looking for in the playoffs, because we saw something like this to this effect last year, and I just kind of wanted to point it out because it cropped up again here, and it's something the Packers have been leaning on a little bit lately. So they're going to run, and this is kind of got the quads look over here. So the quads is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a 4-by-1 look is what you've got there. And so what they'll typically do, you've got a concept to one side, so on this side it's going to be divide. Packers have a couple different ways of running this. I call it divide. I don't know what it's actually called. But you kind of stem up roughly the same. It's usually, I don't know, 12 to 15 yards. And then you kind of break in different directions. So I think of it as the scissor concept, but without the crisscross action. So we got that. Then you get kind of a flat and then a swing. So you're overloading this side. And so you're looking to kind of push them deep. You get the shallow stuff. That's the bones of the concept. And we've seen this run there quite a bit. Now you've got the ISO over here. This is not part of the concept. This is just man-to-man matchup. Do I like this matchup pre-snap? And he's running a slant, as they'll do quite a bit. And we've seen this. This is not just the divide concept. This is a lot of different concepts. They'll overload. They'll do trips to one side and a single back, or they'll do quads to a side or whatever. And they'll overload one side and they'll camp a receiver, usually Davante Adams because he can win one-on-ones on the back side of that. And then pre-snap, the question is, do I like this matchup? And if you do, then you go to it. And that's the first place you look. And they've had really good success with that. They did this a lot last year as well. And again, we've got Rodgers and Adams, and Rodgers, probably should win MVP this year. Certainly one of the top quarterbacks, if not the top quarterback currently in the league. And Adams, with the way he's playing and their connection they have, it makes sense to take advantage of that and use that. The problem is going to be, and we'll look at this here. It's going to be this guy right here, because right now he's kind of sitting. You don't know what he's going to do, and you're looking at, he's split out wide, like not super wide because they're on the left hash here, but he's out wide. He's outside the numbers. If generally if he wins that slant, you've got him. You're good because you'll see some bumps or something over here. So now we're going to look at what ends up happening and kind of talk about that. We're going to see a little hand motion. He's got the goggles. Now, there we go. Right here. So Rodgers looks. Sorry. There we go. Steps to throw. He's set. Now, if this is there, he'll throw that. He'll throw that right there. Now, the problem is that this guy had dropped back and he's looking for it. So if Rodgers throws it there, this is undercut. If that's picked off, maybe that's taken to the house. Given that he's got the momentum there, it's probably a pretty safe bet. So worst case scenario, pick six. Best case scenario, Davante Adams is blown up because you're running right into him. So Rodgers doesn't like that look. He backs out. Now, the problem with taking this is generally if you're looking at the ISO stuff, that's your first read. You're not looking at, if you're reading out a concept, you're reading out the concept. What are the safeties doing? What's the second level doing? You're kind of looking at all that. You're looking at that initial movement of the defense, and then that helps tell you to the concept side what you want to do. If you go to the ISO side, you're kind of behind when you get to the concept side then, because he's looking there. He's got that. Now, he did kind of take a peek downfield, but for the most part, he's got eyes for the ISO the whole way. So now that the ISO isn't there, now he kind of steps back and goes, all right, now what do I got? You can see you've got, I think he's kind of dropping. You've got too high here. So you got he's carrying up kind of this Tampa 2 look. So he's going to run that way. He's going to run that way, which means that's bracketed, which means, they've got him over the top. So maybe if he goes concept, maybe he hits this because you've got this safety over the top. Maybe he doesn't, but here's another. He's looking straight down. You see that Tampa thing. Again, everything's kind of quicker now because he's kind of locked down the ISO first, which, again, not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but just could put you behind the 8 ball a little bit if it doesn't work out. So then he kind of hitches. He's looking. Nothing's there. I think this is a play David Bakhtiari was talking about where Rodgers just kind of ran around for a little bit. He's like, dude, I just came back. Please don't do this to me. But one of the reasons I want to talk about this is because a lot of times I talk about the ISO stuff that works because that's cool. It's 3-step, bang, that ball's out. It's a good connection. You get a whole lot of good stuff out of that. It's a cool play. It looks nice, and it kind of highlights the connection between Rodgers and Adams. The problem, this is something we saw crop up, and we'll kind of run through this again real quick, kind of have it running while I'm talking. In that Bucs NFC Championship game last year, which, you probably don't want me to talk about, but there's a couple instances where the Packers had something like this. Not this concept. The ones I'm thinking of, it was like an all-go running back seam, which was one of their core concepts they ran last year. And the same thing, Adams on the backside. And they were killing teams with that all year. And then it came in the NFC Championship game, and Rodgers goes to hit that. I think they're inside their own 10. goes to throw it, it's not there because they're the same thing. You've got the linebacker or you've got a box safety kind of screaming underneath that, and then you're behind the 8 ball. And then Rodgers ended up getting sacked on that one, and maybe it wouldn't have mattered because he got beat real bad on the left side, like just immediately. But if that's out, if that's 3 steps and out, you're good. And so it's kind of one of those. The Packers have leaned on this relatively heavily, and I understand why. But if they lean on it too heavily in the playoffs, they will make you pay for that because you'll have teams that know that tendency. They'll look for that. And so you got to have either read the concept, have a tendency breaker, have that a sluggo instead of a slant, something like that. So just something to look out for in the playoffs on these quads or these trips with an ISO receiver on the backside. Different ways for the Packers to kind of mix that up so defenses can't jump that.